Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me for another episode of the podcast. This week, my guest is Caleb, and he runs the Etsy shop eBuild Design. Caleb has been selling on Etsy since 2019, and he's been doing some wonderful things and has some wonderful things coming up in store just from selling on Etsy. So, Caleb, thank you so much for being my guest, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Joma, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. So before we start, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up selling on Etsy?
Yeah, okay. Well, so a little bit about myself is I'm an entrepreneur type person running a few businesses, and one of the businesses that been running and trying to promote is our printables for our plans and patterns. So these are woodworking plans, like DIY, build it type projects, and also sewing plans for garments, for shirts and jackets, and that list there is going to keep growing. So Cheryl is doing the sewing. She's my partner in crime, if you'll say it that way, and she's working there with that. And we decided, to kind of combine this together and create just a printable place, PDF printable place for like for woodworkers and also people with sewing interest. Yeah. And so it's kind of just something we wanted to start together, and so far we're happy with how it's going. I started out actually on a WordPress website with eBuild Design. And that's where I started everything. And as that has been in the growing phase there, it just came to me, hey, you know what? Why don't I start an Etsy shop? Because this Etsy shop would go, it would work out well together. And I can point people to the Etsy shop, or I can point them to the website and just see how the sales go and just see where we can start building and gaining traction. So yeah, it was just it was a no-brainer. To us, it was just another step into the process, and yeah, we've been happy to be on Etsy.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know, WordPress is a website building platform. So, were you actually selling on WordPress before you moved to Etsy, or was it primarily an informational website?
Selling, it's a whole e-commerce website, just to sell our printables.
Oh wow. So I think you're the first person I've talked to who did it the other way around. Most people will start on Etsy and then branch out to their own website. What drew you to the Etsy marketplace after you already had your own website going?
Yeah, so it was a test to start with, because so many people will come to the website and they don't buy for whatever reason, and so it's just like, do they not trust the brand? Is there something that stands in their way? So it's like, well, let's try putting on Etsy and see if we can get people coming there, and then they feel like maybe they're in more of a safer environment, maybe. And they start buying there. Well, then we just thought, well, they're buying there, they're going to see our brand. It's gonna grow on both sides. So it's just like it just seems like it made sense to me to just make that move. And I think that we're finding out that those people who don't know our brand, they get on Etsy, and it's just like, to them it makes a little bit more sense. Yeah. They got a little bit more backing there. They feel like that if there's a problem, Etsy will stand behind them.
Right.
Whereas, as far as our brand is concerned, we're the same people outside of Etsy as we are in Etsy. So, but it takes trust, takes time.
Yeah. So have you found that now that you have a brand on Etsy and people are able to see you there and feel safe, that it's also given some buyers more confidence shopping on your own website instead of on Etsy?
Yeah, only recently now have we started to generate more of like a mailing list to those who've purchased from us, and then now we want to remarket them towards our website as much as we can, or even point them back to Etsy. But just we want to, now's the time we can actually start seeing if this is going to start working and getting people to look at our website as actually valid for making their next purchase.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but then again, I mean, it's not like we want people to go off of Etsy either. We're fine to keep selling. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where in any business, you got to always test. You always got to try, and you just kind of got to see what's working and where do you want to where's the direction that this should go.
Yeah. For anyone who wants to check out Caleb's website, it's eBuild.design. That's eBuild, eBuild.design. And I will have a link to it in the show notes for this episode as well, so you can check it out. And so when you built that site, you had to build a shopping cart and put in a payment system and all that. How much effort and work would you say went into that? And would you advise anyone to do it the way you did, like start off independently first to see if it works for them? And, before maybe moving to Etsy, where there might be more fees associated with selling on that platform.
Yeah, a lot of work, a ton of work went into it. I didn't do it myself. I'm not an expert in WordPress.
Okay.
So I found a good husband-wife team that actually did it for me. Did an amazing job. And so, yeah, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of money actually to set up WordPress. As far as advising, no, I would advise it to go the other way around. Start with Etsy. That's what I would advise. Okay. So what I did probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I was confident in what I wanted to do, and I just thought if I get the site up there, I can just start getting people coming there, and yeah, it's a long road. I mean, anybody in the online world, it's a long road. It doesn't happen overnight, and even inside of Etsy, it doesn't happen overnight. But I didn't do it because I thought going outside of Etsy, I wasn't even considering Etsy when I started the WordPress site. When you consider the two costs, Etsy is by far the cheapest way to even start anything.
Fees and
right?
all.
I mean, the fees. I mean, you can start it for free.
Yeah.
The fees that they charge you, it's minimal compared to what you have to pay to keep a WordPress site live and running and working well.
Yeah, I agree. So you only sell the principal patterns and plans. You don't actually make any of the products that you sell the designs for. These are strictly for DIYers. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Have you considered actually selling the products?
At this point, no. We feel like that our heart is into the plans and getting plans more perfected and getting them to where it helps people. Like, yeah, that's where our passion is in the plans.
Okay.
There's like the people that we sell to are going to be people who look at building something with their hands as a relief or as like it's their me time. They look at it as a form of relaxing, right?
Yeah.
So they're to be able to give them a set of plans that helps speed up their, like, maybe the material list or maybe even some of the sitting at the table time of even figuring it out themselves. It speeds up that process for them so they can actually get to their work sooner, whether they have a day job and they don't have time to get materials. Yeah. But so it can kind of speed up that process for them so they can get to the building phase sooner. Okay. It's kind of a bit of our model. And then outside of that is any time that you have somebody that you want to work with you, like a child or a friend or, and you can actually do a weekend project together and you have these set of plans. It's just something that you both can read and you can even teach like I said, like your child and how to do it. So that's really where our heart is. And we want to just keep this, making it better and better.
Okay. And actually, as you were describing who your target market is, it started to make sense to me that the people who buy the finished product are very different from the people who want to build something for themselves. That's right. So that actually makes good sense.
Yeah. There's lots of that's what you call it, therapy, right?
Yeah. So how long have you been a woodworking craftsman, and how did you get into woodworking?
Okay. Well, that's kind of an interesting question because my background is actually a steel, metal, and welding. So
What? You abandoned your primary material.
so yeah. So anyways, so that we took a big move, and previous to this, I had my own welding business actually, where yeah, we had several employees working for us, and I sold that, and we moved, and where we moved to, it just didn't make sense to set up a welding facility, or it just takes a lot more. You just can't set it up so easy. So anyways, so I'm just interested in building, right? I don't mind. It doesn't matter to me if it's wood or metal. So the wood thing is like, hey, this is stuff that I can build and improve our own yard or house, use it around, and it's scrap pieces of wood or whatever it might be. It's something that's readily available, and that other people that can have minimal tools and do the same thing. So that was kind of why wood just kind of made sense.
Okay.
Just use wood. Wood's a little bit more versatile. More people have access to it, and plus on my own yard, I use wood a lot for a lot of the stuff that we do on the yard. So
Okay. And does Cheryl do all the garment patterns?
yes, she does.
Okay. Have you found that that mixing the two, even though they're all patterns, but woodworking and sewing are two different niches, if you will. Have you found that has been an issue for your shop, or it doesn't matter because people find you by the listing?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. No, it doesn't make a difference. Matter of fact, most of the people that I've sold woodworking to has been women.
Really?
And which that doesn't say anything a lot at this point, but to me it's kind of it is striking because, like, even, and let's just take Cheryl and myself for example. She loves coming out and working in the shop here building stuff out of wood, right? So she likes to do that, and she likes to sew, and there's times where I haven't got this design up there, but we have made this already. We made an ottoman where it's got a fabric laid over the top with a cushion, right? So sewing and woodworking actually went hand in hand together.
Yeah.
But there's a creative side to this whole thing. Is when you see the fabric laying on the table, or you see the wood sitting in the corner, you got this like in your head, like, how is this gonna look and how is it gonna be made? And when I'm gonna make it, it's gonna be great, you know. So you kind of have this like vision, and that which both fabric and wood have the same type of start. You have to have this vision, and the only satisfaction you're going to get out of it is when it's completed, and then you're happy with all the time and energy you spent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like the shirts that I wear every day to the office, Cheryl makes them.
Oh,
and
really?
And they're shirts that I'm proud to go out into the public with, and no one would know any difference. They would think I would have bought them from the store, right?
Yeah.
And the dresses she wears, same way she makes them.
Nice.
Our girl has all her dresses made by Cheryl, and yeah, and it just goes on and on, right? So I mean, we're just kind of this DIY couple. We just like doing things, yeah, with our hands, right?
I like it. So, what does a typical day look like in the life of eBuild Design? What do you do from start to finish when it comes to running your shop and just keeping the wheels going?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that you just kind of live and breathe your life, right? So yeah, we're always optimizing. We're always thinking. I mean, we can't hardly sit down. Let's just say we built a chair, just for an example, and we can't hardly sit on that chair and enjoy it hardly enough because we're thinking of the next thing.
Yeah.
So,
True
but
creatives.
I mean, I don't take me wrong. We do enjoy the chair, right? But I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like it's always there, but it takes a lot of time. Like anything that you would see on our store, and which we got a lot more coming up that we're going to put into the store. It just takes so much time to get it thought of, to get it designed, to get it into a pattern or a print, and then make it yourself, and to get it all the bugs worked out to where you're happy with it. That I could send this off to the next person, and everything's pretty well covered. They can just build. And it takes a lot of time. I mean, it might take, for any of the things that we have here, I mean, you start out, it might be a couple weeks, it might be 3, it might be a month before you actually get everything completed so that it's good for the next person. So our typical day is just, whatever we're working on next, whatever we're inspired with. Right now, Cheryl's got this jacket that she sewed the jacket first, and now she's going into the pattern side of it. And so her day is just spent kind of optimizing it, looking over the pattern. We have someone working with us also on the pattern side, and so we got to kind of check over work, and then when that's done, then we got to also sew this garment again just to make sure that the pattern comes out right. And so that's kind of the typical day of a creator's life. And then we also have into the store of the Etsy, where we're going to optimize our pictures, we're going to optimize our keywords, we're going to make sure this can be found, we're going to make sure that it's hitting not hitting, but it's targeting the people that are definitely interested in it by doing their keywords that they're typing in, that we're matching up so it can be found. And then you're going to have customers asking questions into maybe the download didn't download for them properly, or maybe they have a question on the pattern. Hey, this pattern doesn't seem like it fits, and you got to kind of work with them through that. So
how do you divide up the administrative duties? I would assume if a question comes in regarding a garment pattern, then I assume Cheryl would answer it, and vice versa for the woodworking patterns. But when it comes to other things administratively with running your shop, how do you divide who does what? Do either of you have a specific specialty? Like one person does all the photography and editing, and another person does the listing optimization. How does it work out for you guys?
Yeah. So there is some dividing on some of that, and definitely Cheryl answers the garment side of things. So that's definitely, whenever a message comes in, if she's busy, I'll have her tell me what to write if she can't actually type it out, right? But you got to understand too, we have 5 children. They're all under the age of 11. The youngest one is 3 at this point. So Cheryl's busy. That's her side of things too. She's busy with them at times, right? So I do a lot of the managing and administrative work.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to bookkeeping and keeping all the computer stuff running here.
Yeah.
But as far as like there was a shirt here we have just listed here in Etsy there, and Cheryl took the picture of that shirt, but then I did the editing, right?
Okay, that makes sense. When it comes to determining your price, that's something I know we talk about on the podcast quite a bit, and it varies based on, the particular product. How did you decide what to charge for your products? Did you do market research, or is there a formula that you've used that has helped you figure out what the best pricing strategy is?
Yeah, well, one thing that we feel confident in we feel that we need to uphold is not to price it too cheap, because it is worth something to the person on the other end. And so we feel like that value needs to be maintained, because they're going to buy something that they feel like is valuable, and they wouldn't want to buy it too cheap either, because they're willing to spend the money. That's why they're even searching for it.
Yeah.
So we don't want to go too low. We want to make sure that we're within kind of what the market's selling for, what we would consider people who sell good quality patterns and designs, that we would be kind of within their price range and not be too up or too farther down than that.
Okay.
So that's kind of, I guess, researching what others are doing and kind of sticking with that.
Yeah. Okay. And with digital products, I assume it's a one-time and sold thing because they're downloadable. So if a customer has some type of issue, typically how do you go about resolving it, short of offering a refund?
Yeah, well, so far everything's been able to be answered. Yeah, there was one person who if this couldn't get fixed, they wanted their money back,
Hmm.
and I feel like that you just need to work with them first.
Yeah.
Just be a real person
Yeah.
and work with them. And if they, I mean, this particular person bought from us and said the thing didn't was actually on a shirt. They said that it didn't fit, and they said nothing matches. And so after I just started working with them and asking more questions, and when it was all said and done, it wasn't even our pattern that they were working from.
Oh, great.
So I don't know. They just took a picture with their phone of the paper they had on their table, and it wasn't even ours. So I didn't just come out and say that, but what I did is I went further and beyond, and I created a Loom video and just kind of explained the pattern and how this is supposed to go together. Once Cheryl kind of told me what to do, right? So anyways, I explained that, and then they're like, oh, like I don't have that pattern. So they're the one who said it out first, right?
Right.
I don't have that pattern. Oh, okay. Well, let me go ahead and send you the pattern that you purchased, right?
Mhm.
Well, then they did, and oh, okay, this all makes sense now, and everything's resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you just got to be real. And I
Yeah.
mean, to me, don't right away offer a refund. But if we ever had to, yeah, we would.
Yeah.
We'd offer a refund. I mean, finally, if you can't resolve somebody's issues, whether it was your fault or not, and they're not happy, and the only way that's going to make them happy is that you refund a $15 pattern back to them, then there you go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I always have that concern with for people who sell digital products because, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. When I do buy digital products, I always think like I triple ask myself, are you sure? Because once you take it, I would feel guilty saying, well, I don't really like it. Like, if it's a course or something, like, okay, I've looked at it, I don't really like it, I haven't done it, but then I would never, well, I would hesitate to ask for my money back because I would just feel like they would think, sure, you did it and now you want your money back.
Yes, yes. Well, right there on the policies, it says it right there when they purchase it. It says this is non-refundable, and that's Etsy's.
Okay.
That's their work that they put in
Yeah.
when you buy a digital product. So, but you know what? People in Etsy, it's a little bit of a. It's not like Amazon, right? I mean, this is its own little culture, and
Yeah.
people come to Etsy for valid reasons, and they want unique items. They want handmade. They want something that's going to there's something that they can't find in the norm.
Yeah.
And so we just need to be real. Like if they're not happy, then we're just going to keep working with them until we can get it resolved.
Get
And
them there.
yeah, and then we're going to learn a lot too. Like maybe there is something in my plans that they weren't happy with. Well, then I can learn from that as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. That's a
But
good
one thing that I haven't had done this yet, and I thought would be another option yet instead of refunding is so you didn't like how my plans came together. Well, I'm going to go ahead and update all those things that you just said, and I want to make it better yet, and I'm going to send you over a free copy when that one's done.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Because,
would also stump some people too.
Yeah.
If all they wanted was their money.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to argue with someone saying, I'm going to make this as good as you want it and I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, can we talk about marketing and Etsy shop promotion? What do you do or what have you tried that works for you in just driving traffic to your shop or to your listings and helping to generate sales?
Yeah. Yeah. So the main one would be Pinterest is where I spend a lot of outside of Etsy, having pins, bringing traffic in to Etsy. I've used the advertising that Etsy has, and I don't always find the best luck with it. But then again, I also know that it has some real advantages, and so I do if I do advertising inside Etsy, I like to do it for testing more so than actually just getting a lot of sales. Just to see what happens when you start getting more views coming in. But I would rather be outside of Etsy promoting my shop because now I know that it's going to my target market.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't always know with inside Etsy, even though that I know that they have a awesome advertising spend there, but they, they're advertising it to what they think is best, whereas I think that it actually needs to go to maybe more of a targeted market.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Typically, if you're testing, what are you specifically looking for, and how long do you run your tests?
Well, yeah, like within a week, you can learn a lot within a week.
Okay.
But I mean, sometimes testing needs to even run longer, just depending on what you're looking for. But let's just say you change maybe some of your keywords, and so now I'm going to go ahead and run this a week and see, did that actually make any difference? Just for an example, right? Or I'm going to change my primary photo picture. Does that bring any more clicks into this product?
Okay.
And just kind of running those kind of tests. You can do it. You can just go ahead and advertise it right on Etsy. It's easy to do, and you can set your budget for whatever you want. $1 a day or $5 or whatever it is you're trying to strive for, and then you can get some results coming in.
Okay.
And it all happens with inside of Etsy.
Okay, that makes sense. And then, is Pinterest the only platform outside of Etsy that you focus on? I know Pinterest is a great traffic driver for Etsy shops.
Yeah, that's it. Pinterest.
Wow, nice. So, do you manually do all your Pinterest posting, or do you use any tools to automate that, just so you're not shackled to Pinterest?
Yeah, Tailwind would be the scheduler that we use.
Okay.
And so again, I have somebody working with me that's doing the Pinterest.
Oh, nice.
Right. So
That
so
helps.
my time is just too spun out to be involved in all that. So yeah, there's somebody working with me that is actually doing the Pinterest. So yeah, and that's our process. We try to schedule pins every day.
Oh, nice.
And it's all through Tailwind, and so that there's always this activity going on, and that we can just hopefully keep our pins just moving up in the algorithm there inside of Pinterest.
Yeah. So that brings something else to mind, because I know a lot of us as sellers try to do everything ourselves, and it's not the most efficient way. How did you decide what tasks to delegate and which ones required you to be the one to handle them? And how did you find people to outsource the different tasks that you delegated to?
Yeah. Well, the first part of that question is, you just finally got to just throw your hands up and say you're not good. You're not good at everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And maybe it's not because you're not good at it sometimes, maybe just because you don't have the time to learn it,
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to just throw your hands up and just say, okay, I'll just accept that one, that I'm not a superhuman and that I need some help. And so then when you are looking around, and you might find somebody who would love to work on your Pinterest account, because that's what they love doing, because they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
Well, sure, here you go. This is yours from here on out.
Yeah.
It's just a win-win situation if you can find that.
Yeah.
So the second part of that question that you asked there is, where do I find people? Well, mostly it's through Upwork is where I find. I don't know if you've heard of Upwork or not, or if you've ever used it. Yeah. So that's a great platform to find freelancers that you can work with, and yeah, I've had lots of great results. I've also had some bad results. But the people that I have found that have been really good to work with, they've even recommended others to work with me. So, and then you start getting a little bit more of a, someone else you can work with you who's been recommended. Then there's a little bit more of a trust base there instead of just hiring somebody brand new.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that helps. And it makes so much sense when you say it, that you have to realize you're not good at everything, and there's someone out there who's better at probably more things than we would care to admit than we are. And still yet then I struggle.
Yeah. No, and that's, what, there's just people out there who've been in business for years and years, and that's what they've said too, is they just have to learn to just keep letting somebody else who's better at it do it.
Yeah.
And then they'll keep focusing on the things that they're good at, and then they can thrive in the things that they're good at, and that's what their business needs. Their business just needs all of that to make it work.
Yes. Okay. I will take your advice for sure. Now, Caleb, what are maybe one or two things you think that you did when you were setting up your Etsy shop that have helped you and your shop be successful on the platform?
One of the things that we've done is the pictures. We've tried to make sure our pictures were something that resonated with people that were buying.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing, and that's one that we're currently working on now to even make that even better.
Mm-hmm.
Like the person that buys a shirt pattern is a DIY. They're a maker. They're a maker type person.
Yeah.
They have they can see past something that's not made, and with their vision, they're looking for something, right? And so you have to kind of think about, how does this picture resonate with them? So we've done a little bit of testing here and there with that, and we finally think we come up with something that we're actually speaking to those that are wanting to buy a shirt.
Okay.
Just for an example, and just try to think of it that way, like you only have one quick chance when somebody types in the search in Etsy and they start going through products, and all of a sudden yours pops up. There's just a little window there before they move on again, right?
Yeah.
And so it's got to be able to stand out and speak to them just by that one picture without much words.
Mm-hmm.
Just the picture itself.
Yeah. I can't even count how many times I've heard it all comes down. Well, not all comes down to, but a huge part of being successful is just having pictures that will do most of the talking and do most of the job of selling your product on Etsy.
Yeah, I mean, and just even for just a really quick example, let's go back to the shirt again.
Mm-hmm.
So we were just thinking of maybe a lifestyle picture might be what people were after. Like, so I'll wear my shirt and I'll push my children around in the wheelbarrow, and Cheryl will take the picture, right?
Nice.
And then it's like I'm in my like happy time of my life here, and we're doing this picture's taken, but no, it doesn't work. It's not working, right? So why is it not working? It's okay. So hey, maybe the wife is wanting to make her husband a shirt, and she likes that her wife, she likes that her husband is busy fixing up on the house. So one day I was doing something on the ladder, and she took a picture,
Mm-hmm.
and I was wearing the shirt that she made for me, and it's like, let's put that out there. No, it still didn't do anything, right? So then we were like, okay, one evening we were sitting around and just kind of looking and seeing what other people were selling, and that were in the same space as we were, and that they were making, major sales, and what were they doing? And it was like, all of a sudden it dawned on us, like, hey, there's this one simple aspect about the shirt. These people who are looking for a shirt and as a pattern, they're looking for like the structure of the shirt and how the shirt's made. They're kind of like zoning in on the shirt, and they're not really, they can visualize their own husbands wearing the shirt or their own child wearing it, but they're looking at the actual garment itself. So anyways, that's what we did. It's the garment itself, the white background. We kind of have a similar thing that we do with what we'll do with the others, and that so that it kind of speaks our brand all throughout.
Yeah.
And within 15 minutes of us changing that, we had a sale.
You're kidding.
No, I'm serious.
Wow. So I guess it comes down to the mindset of your buyers also, like figuring out what. So the way I interpret what you just said is, if somebody were buying that shirt to wear, a different type of image would appeal to them than the person who's buying the pattern to actually make it. They're looking for different things when they look at the shirt. Interesting.
Yeah. So if I'm going to buy a shirt that's made, how will that shirt look on me, and how will I look with that shirt? So a picture of of me climbing a mountain or something, right? That might speak to me because, hey, that guy's wearing a shirt and I can be wearing that shirt and that's what I'd like to do. Whereas, you have to think of it more from the person that's buying it. And it starts to make sense, but you got to open your mind to just taking all of your ideas, basically saying, I'm open to whatever it takes to make this stand out, and just think from the buyer's perspective.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Wrapped up in that sounds to me also like, a lesson that you learned as far as, with respect to positioning your product. There's an article in the Seller Handbook that talks about the different types of product photography. And, I remember reading it and thinking, all these don't really apply. Like, one product can't be all these 10 things to everyone. And I think what you said is just a good example of that, in that, yes, one product isn't the same thing to each person. Depending on why you're buying what you're buying, you're going to want to see something, or, you're looking for something different that will appeal to you. Exactly.
And it helps for you to be in that space yourself, right? Like it really does. Like, it really helps for you to be in that space, so you can think like a buyer, you know?
So speaking of just learning how to think like a buyer and get in the mindset of selling in a way that really captures the audience you're looking for. One thing that is interesting to me that you're doing is you're teaching this to other people, not just how to think like a buyer, but how to sell on Etsy, based on just your experiences selling on Etsy, but also, being, having your own shop and listening to what people are struggling with. Can we talk about the masterclasses that you run and how they came about and what specifically you teach in your masterclass?
Yeah. The masterclass is it's another, how should I say, division or wing of what we're doing.
Okay.
We've been spending a lot of time in that, getting this masterclass to be even more powerful and just as good as we can make it, to where I've even let some of my Etsy shop stuff just go, just so I can focus on the masterclass. So I got a team of people that are working with me, working together on getting them this masterclass to teach people specifically right now on Etsy. And it's like how to have a business on Etsy, and that's our whole baseline. And so it's a 4-session masterclass, and we went ahead of this and we asked a lot of Etsy shop owners that were in their 3, 4, 5, and 6 year running their shops. We tried to ask these questions to these people and just ask them some questions like, of all the things that you're doing on Etsy, what's the number one pain point that you're dealing with right now? And then that starts a conversation. And then we ask more questions beyond that, like, so what have you done to resolve that? Have you been able to find ways to go around it? And anyways, we've captured all that data, and we've been able to organize that data to where we've taken everything we've heard from people that are running shops on Etsy. We even included those that were even in the beginning stages as well, just to kind of see, is there anything that correlated with what they're running into with those that are in their 3-year reign. And so we put that together and we created these 4 buckets. And those 4 buckets are broken down into even subcategories as well. And the number 1 is how to get more views, right? That was one that's struggling, that people face time and time again, is how to get more views. Another one was how to price items. And another one was how to handle customers. Okay. And then another one is, what do I do with shipping, right? So we all know that the pandemic is around us. COVID's here. So this survey happened to be going out in, the summer months, when everybody is still we're all still dealing with the shipping and everything. So that was another big question that a lot of people had. But it was surprising to me to even know that some of that wasn't even though the pandemic was here, but those questions were there even before, because they've been struggling with it even the year previous, right? So those are kind of some of the 4 categories that this class is about, but then it breaks each one of those down into further detail and again about what people are doing to overcome them.
And are these master classes in-person classes?
Yes, they're live. That's part of our vision with this class, is that we can have the class live. So, I mean, we record the sessions, so for those who can't make it, can attend it later, but we highly stress you just quit what you're doing. You just block off time if you have to attend this class live, so that you're a part of it, and you can be in this class where you can ask the questions, right? Like, it's great going through a course on your own, but when you're in a place where you can actually ask the question live, you're going to get more feedback. You're going to get your answers, that the questions that you ask, you're going to get answers that you feel like actually resolves it in your mind, to where you feel like you can go out and win tomorrow, right?
Right. And so are they live in your local area and then recorded for people who are not in your local area?
Well, these are live for, like, they go across on Zoom, so it's a Zoom meeting.
Oh, okay. I was thinking in person.
No, this is a live event that can be across the time zones, if you say it that way, right?
Yeah. Okay.
No, this is it's we're trying to capture just anybody that wants to see make a difference in their shop, and the looming fact of business, and how it just seems insurmountable at times, because we all start out with great ideas and we have this business model, we build our brand, and we go ahead and we get into it all, and all of a sudden we start getting hit with taxes, and we start getting our accounting that we have to do, and there's all the social media stuff that needs to happen to get people to drive traffic. And anyways, pretty soon you're like, I just wanted to have a business, right? And it's this looming mountain ahead. Well, we feel like this masterclass can help break all that down, and just give the student that confidence that they can actually embrace this.
Right. So when do these start?
Well, we have dates for the masterclass that comes up when we have enough students put together, when we have a teacher that we can have come on board as well, someone that has been an Etsy user and has done exceptionally well. So we got to put all it together, and we send out dates for signups.
Okay.
So every once in a while we'll have a sign up date go out. We'll send it out to our email list.
Okay.
Or we'll go ahead and we post it out through Pinterest, and we just try to get people aware of what we're doing so they can sign up.
Okay. And the best place to sign up to get that information would be at ebuild.design and join your newsletter, your mailing list.
Well, the really best way to sign up for this is we've created a digital asset that is specifically talks on views, how to gain more traffic into your Etsy shop. Okay. It's called how to increase your Etsy traffic by 27%. And this is a free asset that any one of your listeners can have. You can send this out to whoever's listening to this. There's just free for their taking. And this is research again that we've put together from asking questions and seeing people resolve some of the issues that they faced. And we created this little PDF downloadable blueprint. And anyways, for you to access this blueprint is you're going to have to give us your name and email address. And with that, you can be put into this queue for, now you'll be notified when there's the masterclass coming up, and what's going on with the masterclass, and maybe what's going on, and what might be changing even currently into some of the courses of the masterclass. So that's the best way to actually be a part of this masterclass journey.
Okay. Where do they go to submit their name and email address, though?
There's a if I could have you put this into the show notes or however
Yeah.
you want to do this,
Uh-huh.
there's a link there,
Okay.
and it's just an opt-in page for them to come
Okay.
there and just sign up.
All right. So I'll have
Yeah.
that in the show notes for this episode, so folks can go and check it out and
Yeah,
sign up to get
definitely.
notified.
Yeah, even for them, even if they don't feel like that the master class is something they don't need, they can even use a blueprint for their own shop, and just there's some really useful information that they can learn from.
Okay. Now, having talked to having done this survey and with the information that you've gathered about where people are struggling and where you think you can help them, what advice would you, like maybe just one piece of advice, would you give to that seller who's listening right now that might be struggling with one of these 4 core issues that you mentioned?
Yeah. Well, let's just go back to traffic.
Okay.
Traffic for now, and traffic seems to be one of those questions that I think you can always optimize and get better and better at as time goes on. The piece of advice is find what's working in any little scalable way, like any way that you can see that's measured. I'm not a Facebook guy. I don't ever post anything personally on Facebook, but I know there's a lot of people who do, and they find lots of good results with it. If you do, and you see that it helps increase your traffic in your shop, then keep using that avenue, right? But look at traffic and link clicks as really important into your shop, and just like embrace it. Like, what all does it take? So you're going to be promoting. That's one way, but you're also going to be optimizing. You're going to be going through your tags and your key and your headlines of your products, of your listings, and you're going to need to kind of keep working with it and adjusting it and see if maybe you need to replace some keywords in there, and just like embrace that part of it. It's the part that you'd say there's no fun in it, there's no glory in it.
Yeah.
When you're all said and done, it doesn't look like you've done anything.
Yeah.
But it does make a difference, and just keep going back over it again to those products that you have, the listings that are there that are not gaining traction. So the stats and any Etsy shop and my Etsy shop are looked at daily. The stats, where are people coming from, and how many views are you getting? That's one thing that you need to look at, and it's all broken down into your listings to see which one's getting more views. And just embrace that. That if I would say anything, just embrace it and just look at it as that's your task for the week, every week.
Okay.
Every day.
Yeah. Okay. Breaking it down like that makes it seem more doable and less daunting than looking at the whole shop and just trying to figure out, where to start and what to do. Yeah,
and that's just it. Finally, if a person can, I don't know what your listeners, if they have day jobs or if Etsy's their own, but let's just say half of us are day jobs. We have day jobs. We don't have time to be on Etsy all the time. But if you could just break down and say, for an hour a day, I'm going to be reviewing and I'm going to be optimizing my tags, my keywords. And that's what I'm going to do for, did I say hour a day? What I meant to say is an hour a week. If you can just at least do it that much, right? An hour a week, and you're going to pick a couple listings and you're going to go through them. And as you build a little bit confidence to that one, then now let's go ahead and let's go ahead and make that 2 hours in a week. So maybe an hour this day and an hour another day. And then that's it. You just go in, you log in, you do what you need to do there. You step back, you come back a couple of days later. Did that make any difference? Did that increase any views? And you just kind of work at it that way.
Okay. Now, we talked about earlier in the conversation, you mentioned some tools that help you run your business. Upwork for finding people to outsource work to, and Tailwind for Pinterest. Are there any other tools you can think of that you've found particularly helpful in running your shop?
Canva would be one that I'd have high on the list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for any picture designs or editing, it's worth it for you to purchase the the product instead of using the free version.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We find it is. So yeah, that's another tool that's highly recommended. I mean, we use ConvertKit for all of our email marketing that we do, capturing. So, and then we also use, which this isn't an Etsy thing, but it goes along with our masterclass. We use ClickFunnels for all of our lead captures.
Okay. And
yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know what that is or doesn't understand, what's a lead capture, and then what does ClickFunnels do with that?
Yeah, so that's kind of more of not necessarily an Etsy per se item to add to your tools, but for us, it helps capture people who are looking at coming and joining the masterclass, and so we can set up like a funnel page explaining what it is that we're all doing and the dates and what's inside the masterclass. So that's what ClickFunnels does, and then we have these like email opt-in pages that if you want to sign up or if you want to be on the wait list. And so we can kind of monitor all that through there, and it makes it easier for the user to just go there, enter their email address in, and then now they're on the wait list, and then we can market them through our email program, right? And so then they can just kind of get a feel for what it is that we're offering. So yeah, but another tool that is used a lot and just in any business is I use QuickBooks, right?
Oh, really?
And I don't know how many times you hear people say that or not, but QuickBooks is one that we use. There's lots of other accounting tools out there, but that's important. You have to pay a subscription for it.
Yes.
But it's important to keep that your business and your money that's coming in, money going out, to keep it all tracked, because otherwise you're pricing products that are too cheap, and you might think you're making money when maybe you're not. So you got to keep your account up to date.
Okay. QuickBooks. Yes. I think that's a recommendation we've gotten quite a few times, because I think not only does Etsy have a version, but if one is willing to upgrade to the more beefed up versions, you get even more tools and more I think you're able to sync it with a lot more things, so it makes accounting so much easier for you at the end of the month, and then for tax time at the end of the year, etc.
Yes, exactly.
So Caleb, I will have the link that you're going to send to me for folks who are interested in the masterclass to get on the list so they get the information. How else can people connect with you if they want to get in
touch? So they can get over to the eBuild.design website page there. There's a contact us. They can just put in their email address and send us a quick message if they want. Okay. They can sign up to our email newsletter there if they would like. Okay. But definitely that'd be a place to go and start, and we can start the conversation. So
okay, great.
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear from anybody, especially if somebody is just currently dealing with what they would feel like is an insurmountable mountain in their business, and while they're on Etsy. Definitely shoot me a question. I'd be glad to share with you what I know, or nothing else, point you in a direction that will lead you to the answer.
Yeah, great. Thank you for doing that. And so I will have a link to Caleb's website, as well as to, again, the list for the masterclass. So anyone who wants to sign up, they will all be there. Caleb, thank you so much for sharing all this information, not just about selling on Etsy and how to do it well and what you have in store for sellers who are struggling, but also your Etsy journey and about how it's going for you and for Cheryl. Thank you for taking the time to share with us just about what you're doing.
Well, appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being here, and I can tell also visiting with you, Ijoma, that you're passionate about what you're doing here, and you're providing a really valuable resource to Etsy shop owners by this podcast. So I just think it's great. I think it's great to be part of it.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want to connect with me, you can go to convome.com. That's also where you'll see the show notes for this episode. It's episode 299. If you want to shoot me a quick message, Instagram is probably the best way, at Convo Me Podcast. And I will be back with another episode next week.
Very well.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.